You're going to do a meditation that is going to walk you through a step-by-step to meet one of your spirit guides. And then once you meet one of your spirit guides, then we're going to have a conversation about what are all the ways that you can keep an open spirit and an open mind around talking, connecting, being with your guides, and also seeing what can be accomplished and what can happen when you are staying very connected to your guide, which is also, it's kind of like a boomerang, because you're throwing out your energy to your guide, but your guide is here to bring you back to yourself, to bring you back to your light. They're light beings, and we are all eternal light beings. And so that is actually what's happening on a regular basis. The more we connect with our spirit guides, the deeper we connect with our own wisdom and our own connection to what I call the one, or universal oneness, which I believe we all are. So I'm going to talk about my experience a little bit, because I think I'm just going to share my experience, and then I'm going to want you to share some of your experience. So my experience in connecting with spirit guides was a little rough because I was like, no, I don't want to. I'm not interested in stepping into this spiritual connection, because I didn't see it as being a part of me. I saw it as something that was outside of me. And then when I finally just surrendered and said, I definitely believe that there are extra spirit guides. Like, I always believed in Holy Spirit, and I've always believed in a spirit, and even in ghosts. And of course, you see a lot how Hollywood dramatizes the spirits and the ghosts, and most of the time they show that the spirits and ghosts are like evil, but they really aren't. And it's often said that we have an angel on either side of us, and that when we're born, we have lots of angels, lots of guides. They're not always just like an angel. They could be, it could be a loved one. It could be a loved one coming back and giving us insight, helping us connect, giving us advice, guiding us, or just letting us know that they're there, they're safe, they're in a loving place, and that they want us to know that. So that's another reason why it's important to connect with spirit guides. The other kind of guides, and I think some of you here know today that I do a message circle, and I channel spirits and guides and entities, and they're always positive entities. And also lately, some of those entities are like an orb of light or a beautiful flow of energy, and that comes in just to connect with each of you, and then I give you a message. And so my goal for all of you is that as you learn to tap more and more to your own energy guides, that you're getting messages directly from them, that it doesn't have to come through me, and that it can come right to you. And actually, it comes right to you all the time. You just may not be aware of it, or you may not have yet realized what's happening. So some of the ways that we start to connect or know or be aware of spirit guides is that you might start to see bright lights, little lights sometimes, like little sparkly lights, and you're like, what is that? Doesn't mean it has to come at night. It can come during the daytime. You see angel numbers. You know, we're all into angel numbers, 111, 222, 555, and they all have a meaning. Or you may see other signs. You might see all of a sudden you're thinking about something and you see a billboard, and that billboard is directly relating to who you are or something that you want an answer on. Or you tell yourself, oh, I'm thinking about this, and then all of a sudden you see it. It's like a red car or a number on a license plate. So those are our guides, giving us information or letting us know, hey, I'm here. I'm here. Children are very close to their guides. And that's why children see fairies, because they're seeing more childlike energy. And children oftentimes will see guides at a very young age, and they'll share that with us, like, oh, Mommy, I saw this person, or this person was talking to me. I know that in this art show here today, we have this beautiful showing of artwork. And the woman that painted this is actually called the Indian Chief. And when she was very young, she would tell her father, the Indian Chief is coming and talking to me. The Indian Chief is giving me messages. And this is the cover of a book that's called You Are Enough. And it's all about that we are enough in who we are. And the book was written by her husband, who has been a lifelong spiritual learner. And she's a painter. And so they put their energies together to create this book. And so oftentimes when we have knowledge of guides or we have connection with our guides, sometimes it guides us to do something great, like write a book or start an organization or learn a new skill or just open our minds to more things in the world. So I'd like to get a little feedback maybe from some of you or all of you in that, one, have you had an opportunity that you feel like you connected with a spirit guide? And if so, what was it like? And what happened? Anyone?
I haven't. That's why I was so excited for this.
So you haven't?
That I'm aware of.
I had one that I can think of right now. It's a little weird. I was on the verge of falling asleep, and I heard a little giggle, and I knew it was a guide, and I said, "Hey, what's your name?" And she said, "Santa." And then I fell asleep, so that's really all I got. But I could tell. I didn't know if she said Santa or Santa, but that was pretty cool. And it was like she was a little giggle, so I knew it was like a lighthearted, like loving.
Like a fairy,
Yeah,
almost.
It felt like a fairy.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. Santa, that's great. Maybe it was Santa. Hey, I'd still like to claim Santa as my spirit guide.
I think he's real, so
Right, bring me more gifts. It'd be great. Yes, sometimes we do have that moment. Anyone else? Yes.
I wanted to ask you were saying about ideas coming through, intuitive hits, would that be spirit guides or that's higher self or what?
That's a great question. That in my own experience and in my opinion, those are your guides speaking to you, and you're getting what we call a download. They're bringing you information, and you're open to receive it. And the next step is, do you take action on it? And that's also what they're doing. If I can give you a visual, this would be my visual. It's like they're like beaming this message, they're beaming this information. And you're like, oh, I'm getting it. And I'm listening to it, and I hear it. And then you take action on it, and then it works. And you don't doubt it. It's like, but what they're doing is they're giving you what's already in you back to you. Because even though we may not be aware of it, we are always, our spirit is always connecting, and we're always open to receive, but then sometimes our conscious mind may say, no, you got to listen to the conscious mind. There is no such thing as spirit guides. But the subconscious and the wisdom within this, the spiritual part of us, knows that there's a lot of wisdom. There's a book, it's called Ask and You Shall Receive, and it's by Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, who has channeled, she calls it Abraham, it's a group of guides, and we call them masters. And the book is really great because it talks a lot about, you got to ask. You've really got to ask for what you want to receive. And when you ask in pure faith and pure energy, the universe always provides. It may not provide on the timeline you want. It may not provide exactly, but it will provide. And if you surrender, then the more you surrender to the universe, the more the spirit guides will talk to you. And I know that right now I feel that I'm very much a recipient of that, because lately I've been getting a lot of downloads, and those downloads aren't just necessarily spiritual. Like, I've just recently gotten amazing downloads about my business and about a direction and looking at a different model. And again, it's about growing and being progressive. So it's not just always spiritual actions that I'm taking. It's about how we move through life. It could be about your relationship. It could be about your health. How many people have believed 100% that they're going to heal from something that they've been told that you won't heal from it? But yet they walk in faith, they listen to their guides, and they heal. Anyone else? Yes.
For sure. I'm very fluent when it comes to speaking to spirits, speaking to my ancestors, and speaking to loved ones that has passed. I don't want to take up a lot of time, but just what brought me here is the essence of what occurred literally yesterday. I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm actually, why I'm here, I said to myself, I'm going to take a spiritual journey. I took a year to where I kind of just sat. I work from home, but I cut off the day-to-day noise and really went into meditation and all that. One thing that came from that I heard is it's time for you to take a journey and go outside of what you are used to and accustomed to, because it's so much more. I did this about 2 months ago, and I have a whole list of places I can go. And Atlanta has stuck. On my timeline, I'm supposed to be, California is where home is based, where I'm going to go. But Atlanta, for some reason, like, I've been stuck here longer than I anticipated. And I don't know why, and I felt like I got lost. Literally yesterday, it got to a point to where I felt so lost that I was just sitting here like, why am I still here in Atlanta for some reason? Like, get me back on track, get me back on my journey, because I don't understand why I am, like, here. I said that repeatedly, and it said spiritual, and then it said spiritual store. And I ended up here yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
Oh, wow.
I ended up here yesterday. And I came in like clear mind. I just came in and was like, I'm just gonna purchase. I purchased this. I purchased my other charm. I left it at home. But I was like, I'm just gonna make a purchase. And as I was making the purchase, the owner of the store here, I could just see her in my peripheral, kind of just gazing at me, but not really, you know. I just could tell that she was there. I got to the checkout and she said, come back here. It was literally at that table. She said, come back here. I just want to talk to you. I just want to see if, you know, you're open to like palm reading or the Reiki. What she does not know, I made a list spiritually how I wanted to grow, and I wanted to get that. I want to be able to put that on my arsenal. I can already read tarot and do all that type of things. But that was something before I started my journey that I said I need to find someone, and it will come naturally, that can guide me to do this. Sure enough, you know, it was right there in front of my face. She didn't say nothing about it, but it was literally on the table right there in front of my face, and it said Reiki. And I'm sitting here just, you know, speaking to her, blah, blah, blah. And I just kept on looking at the book. She's like, you do not, I also teach and guide how to be a Reiki, you know, how to do that, how to, you know, gain that. I literally broke down in tears because that was one thing on my list beforehand that came to fruition when I felt most lost, which was literally yesterday. And I'm literally going to meet her after this, and we're going to start our courses. But that is just something, like, you know, that happens. Set aside from that, I just want to start there, but I'm not going to take up a lot of time. But when it comes to hearing spiritual guides, I agree 100% of what you say. There are loved ones that passed away. There's that.
Yeah.
With that being said, a best friend passed away. We were roommates for like off and on for years, and they love birds. Miami was one of my places I said I wanted to go in this journey, so I went to Miami for like a week. And they passed recently a month ago, and I was consistently thinking of them. When I was staying where I was staying in Miami, it was a bird that came every day and sat on the ledge and chirped at me, and I knew it was him. For sure. And it came every day, and it would wait for me to acknowledge, like, hey, and I would say, I know it's you, I acknowledge, thank you, I love you, and it would fly away, but it came every morning to greet me, and I just knew it was them. So 100%, I agree with what you're saying. Like, you just have to open yourself up to receive it, and once you ask for it, I promise you, you will get all the answers needed.
And that's so true. That is so true. So I'm curious, who was the person you spoke to? Do you remember her name? Disha. Okay. So Disha she's not the owner.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
Oh,
She-
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. No, that's perfectly okay. I'm so glad that she is making an impression because that just shows her loyalty to our business and that she treats this as her business, which is great because she is an amazing person. And she is my go-to for many things, and I'm very happy to have her here. And I'm grateful that she was able to connect with you and that you found Disha. So one of the things that I'd like to say is that I know this for a fact. When people move to Atlanta or come spend time here, you are coming here to do deep soul work. The terrain and the geography of the Atlanta and surrounding area is very sacred land. A lot of people don't know that. You think about a lot of things, but many, many years ago, thousands of years ago, there were sacred civilizations here. You've got Stone Mountain, you've got vortexes in the Georgia mountains, you have Lithia Springs is a very sacred area. Anywhere that there is gold nearby, you're going to have sacred land. That's where your ancient cultures would congregate. And again, we don't really know what they did many years ago, but when they did their spiritual practices, gold was very much a part of that. So you're here because you're getting ready to do deep soul work. And yes, that may move you on to California because it's a much lighter geography, lighter energy, but you're here to get rid of some heavy energy. You're here to release it so that you can prepare yourself to move forward. So, and that's why we're all here, and that's why our guides will guide us to where we are to be and perhaps what our next step is. And that's why it's important to talk to your guides. And when I say talk to your guides, and we used to think, back in my day, and that was quite some time ago, if people walked around talking to themselves, something was wrong. But nowadays you don't know if they have earbuds in and they're talking on their phone, or they're talking to spirit, or they're just crazy talking. So, but the point is we kind of accept everyone. But I talk 24/7 to my guides. It's like they're right beside me. It's as though I'm just in my house, as if my children were there, or my husband's there, and I'm talking. But the point is, our guides are with us. It's 24/7. Even when we go to sleep at night, our guides are still with us. Sometimes they wake us up in the middle of the night because they have a message for us. So there are many ways to begin to connect with your guides, and we will talk about that after we do the meditation. But right now, it seems to me you're all having experiences. You're having a moment where you've connected with something, and there's a guide right there beside you. There's a guide right there, maybe taking your hand. You're shaking someone's hand. You're giving someone a hug. You're being driven to visit a shop. You're being driven to just go sit in a park. But your guides are taking you there if you're willing to listen, if you're willing to open yourself up. And a lot of people that are in crisis right now are having a lot of crisis because they're restricting. They're putting form of a wall around themselves. They do not want to recognize that spirit can help them. Spirit can allow them to open up, to release anger, to release pain, to release sadness. And that's the difference in knowing that you have guides and ancestral, just like you said, we all have ancestral guides, and they're there too. I mean, I would venture to say right now in this room, there are thousands of guides in this room right now because we are all here talking about them. And so they're all showing up. I can assure you of that. And even when I conduct my message circles, I have a moment to connect, and a lot of times they're all talking to me. You know, some of them sometimes say, "Oh, I want to be first. I want to be first." I mean, again, it's not like it's some biblical scripture that we're dealing with. It is literally just everyday conversation. And they want to bring in humor. They want to bring in what we would call conversation that we can understand. But one thing I will say, guides and angels and spirits have been in a spiritual realm that I know I can't describe. I know that there are different realms of energies. And since for the last 3 years, angels and guides want to be a little more bonded with us. And so they're coming closer to the earth, and they're coming closer to us. And they're bringing us information. And again, that's my belief, and that's what I get from them when I talk to them. Any other experiences that anyone would like to share?
I'm wondering if I have a spiritual guide that kind of sits close by when I'm working with my clients. Because, I mean, I just like, something just like pops up and it's like, that's just the direction I go in, asking
Yes.
them questions.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I feel like that there's something there, because I just say, all of a sudden, it just like pops up. And then that's what I do, and I tell them that. It's like, but I guess I need to start paying more attention to how it is towards me personally for my life, not just me helping.
Yes. And have you ever noticed at some point, this happens to me, but have you ever noticed like you're just maybe sitting in your house, or maybe you're just watching TV, and I know in my house where I sit, I can kind of see the entryway out of my family room and kind of a little bit down the hall toward my bedrooms. And every now and then out of the corner of the eye, I might feel or see a little something that just kind of moves. And nothing really formed or nothing really, but I'm like, okay. And then I might see it again. So a lot of times I'll go, okay, I know you're there. What's anything going on? Anything I need to know? You know, because it is a fleeting little flash of energy. But a lot of times it's just a guide, and it may not be a guide that is really there to serve me or help me. It just could be a spirit that wants to be near my energy, and they're seeking something. Because I do see that a lot. I do see some souls. I call them lost souls, but it is not negative. It's just a guide that's just kind of, they're curious, just like we're curious. So again, I'm speaking like they're human, but in a way, they're in the angelic realm, which is like another world, in that they don't necessarily have a physical body, but they have a spiritual body. And so they perform and in different ways than how we perform. So to me, it's a new time in the world, and we're beginning, the layer of the spiritual layers are thinning, and we're connecting more and more. And that is what will begin to bring us more and more peace in the world. But we have to work through our human emotions. And our emotions are here for a reason too. So, anyone else? Any last thoughts? All right. So what we're going to do a meditation. It's 5 minutes, and you just sit in your chair. And I would like for you to go ahead and close your eyes. Take a few minutes. Just do some deep, just slow breathing. however you do deep breathing, just in your nose and out your mouth. Thoughts of what that guide looked like or felt like?
It was light for me. I just felt light. I seen like just bright orb of light for me. I didn't get really no physical attributes, it was more so just a aura of light.
Just like an aura of light. Great. Anyone else?
I didn't really see anything, but I felt like a blockage in my chest that's like, sorry, something that's unprocessed that I need to let go of. I don't really know what it is, but I've been feeling it all week.
It's okay. It's okay. We have moments where we have a block, and that block is there for a reason. And when you have these moments, because really what's happening is you are opening up. You're opening up to receive. And that's a beautiful moment. And so you are opening your energy for sure. And your guide are guides. It could be multiple. They're working on you right now. And they're working, and you'll be more and more connected from this moment on. You will be more and more connected. Yeah. Anyone else?
Did you light anything during that meditation? Like a candle or like an incense or anything?
No?
I smelled something
I
right
smelled
before
something
too, because I'm real sensitive to that stuff, and I'm like looking around because I wanted a signal to you to blow it out. Because
No.
I usually do, I ask you that
Yeah, I
because it
know.
always gives me headaches.
There is no candle. Honestly, I wanted to keep the room clear today, because sometimes I do have a candle lit or I've done incense, but I wanted to have the air completely free.
I definitely felt it very strongly. That's so weird.
Me
I
too.
really would open my eyes and I was like looking around. I was like, where is the incense?
And guess what? It's not weird.
And I did right
It's
before
not-
we
it's
even
not
started
weird.
it. I just started
That is a connection. Now, whatever that smell, that fragrance was, that's your guide.
Wow.
That is your guide.
That's
Yes.
So,
Same thing for you, Robin. If
Because I
you
don't
were
like the
smelling,
smell.
that's your guide. That is the signal that your guide is there. And like I said, it comes in many ways. It'll come in a feeling, an emotion. It'll come in a smell. It may come in you may hear something. You may, it just comes in many different ways. You may be inspired to just write afterwards, and you don't know where that's coming from. So it comes in all ways. It touches each of our senses in a different way. So, and many times when people describe their guides, they do not describe them like as a person. They describe them as something different. And to me, that's when you're really connecting. Because and again, there's nothing wrong with describing them as a person, because it could be a loved one, and you're seeing that loved one. But in most cases, if it's something different, more abstract, that's definitely means that is your guide. You're not conjuring up an image or a figure of something to say, yes, I saw my guide. So I like in groups, we do get variable images of what was there, or feelings. It doesn't have to be an image, it could be a feeling of something. Some people feel as though they're being lifted up out of their seat because they feel lighter. And that lightness is the signal that your guide is there. So how do you talk to these guides? How do we talk to them? I said earlier, it's 24/7, right? All the time. But we can put ourselves in environments that will help open that energy. Sitting in nature. Nature is a great way to inspire the connection to a guide, because nature is truly a spiritual guide. Nature is truly one of the ways that we can connect, because we're kind of blocking out the world a little bit, all the busyness.
I think that's how I get most of my messages, is through animals. I work on my office is on the Chattahoochee River, and there's this like beautiful trail, it's along the river, and so I go out there all the time and just sit and meditate, and that's when I usually get most of my messages.
Oh, that's great. What a great office environment.
I know.
Yes.
I'm so blessed.
That's amazing. Yeah. So nature is definitely a wonderful place to start. I know many years ago when I first came to Atlanta, there were there's a couple of some beautiful parks obviously around the Atlanta area, and I used to just take a blanket on some of those spring days, and I'd just lay the blanket out, and I'd just lay back on the blanket and just watch the wind blow or look at the clouds and just totally be present. And the connection that I would feel was it was amazing. And I realized I don't do that enough anymore, and I need to do that more. Because occasionally we just have to unwind, connect, be present. Being present will also help you stay in the energy of being a light being, because we are eternal light beings. We are energy. That's why Reiki is so important, and that's why we call it sometimes our Reiki guide. It's our energy guide, because our energy guide is working with us. Anyone else have a feeling or?
I also saw, I don't know how to describe it, but it was like flowing fabric, but it was all pastels. You know, it was almost like as if it started, like it was over like a human, you know, like started there and it was just like flowing in different shades, the purples and the greens and yellows.
Yeah.
A little bit of pink.
That's great. And
It was
that,
pretty.
a lot of guides look like that.
Yeah.
A lot of guides will be like a flowing energy. I know even in the message circles, many times I get color that flows in like a ribbon of color and it has a message for someone. Another way to talk to your guides is to journal, because the guides sometimes will take over your hand, and we call that automatic writing, and you just start writing whatever comes to your mind, and then before you know it, you start, oh wow, I'm writing this, what does this mean? And if you like doing that, it's very helpful to just have a journal and write in that same journal all the time. And then go back and flip through it from time to time, and you'll receive messages from your guides after the fact. Another way is to, like I said, be more childlike. I know that sounds crazy, but like I said, children are very connected to all kinds of spirits and energies, and they're not afraid because they're like, wow, this is normal. So taking on more childlike behavior sometimes, just running around in a park or just being free or swinging on a swing. I mean, I have to say, swinging on a swing is one of my favorite things to do because you feel like you're flying and it just feels so free. Also, jumping on a trampoline because you're elevating yourself. You're like flying up in the air. And you can even imagine that the angels are flying with you. They're jumping with you. But jumping on a trampoline, especially nowadays, they have those trampoline parks where you can go and actually jump on a trampoline and not have to have one in your backyard. Also, too, candles, lighting a candle and just being at peace with having a candle burning. Or my very favorite is a fire in the fireplace. I absolutely love fireplace fires, and when I say that, I mean with real wood. So I have a wood-burning fireplace, and when it gets really cold, I have a fire every night. And to me, it's magical. To me, it's connective, and I could just sit for hours with that fire burning, doing nothing, but just being at peace. And so fire inspires us. It also draws our guides to us. And sometimes in how to bring your guides in and how to talk to them is sometimes just ask. Like, could you show up today? Do you have any message for me right now? Ask. goes back to ask and you shall receive. And sometimes a guide or your guide comes through somebody else. Could come in the form of wisdom, could come in the form of a download like we were talking about earlier. It could be just a moment of something that happens. Sometimes we have events like you showed up at our shop, and it was like an epiphany. You're like, wow, look where I ended up. You know, there's a reason you're here. There's a reason you came to Atlanta. There's a reason that you chose to follow whatever you were being guided to do. And you really weren't sure. You were like, I'm just going on a journey, just getting in my car, I'm gonna drive, I guess I'll go to Atlanta.
Literally packed all my things when my lease was up and said, hey, these are the points that I want to go. And I was going east, going to west, and literally I've been here for a month and a half, and I was supposed to only be here for like 2 weeks. And I'm still here. And I'm like,
Now it might be a little
right,
longer.
like that's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, but now this is all happening, and I feel like it may be a little longer now. Especially what you said with how magical Atlanta is and releasing. I feel like that hit home for me so much because I feel like I have to be cleansed first to get to where I need to get to do what I need to do for others. Like that.
Yeah,
No words.
and that's exactly why you're here. You're doing your deep soul work. You're shedding the skins of old energy. You're clearing a lot of ancestry. You're a pattern breaker. You're breaking patterns in your family. You're doing a lot of things right now, and you're working your way to where you're ultimately going to be so that you can do your work. And you will do your work. And even think about, like, we go to college, or we go to high school, or we go to a class, and we learn, and then from that learning, we take that out into the world, whatever we do. And you don't necessarily have to go to a class. You can just have the teacher can show up, a person can show up, because when you're ready, they show up. You're ready to go to the next step. And it really is about allowing yourself to surrender to spirit. And I can't say this enough. I probably say this in every event that I hold, is that if you can learn to surrender and learn to be in the flow, Spirit will provide everything. You'll be guided every step of the way. And you have to let go of what you think your life is supposed to look like. And you have to be able to just go with the flow each day. And we get tested. We get tested a lot. There's a theory that, and this is an interesting theory, it comes from a man by the name of Brian Ridgway, and he's gone through a humongous spiritual journey. And he says that a lot of what we're dealing with today is all our early programming, which is true. There's a lot of psychology in this. However, what he says is that we are truly eternal light beings, and we can have anything we want. And the reason that we have these challenges or these situations, we've created them in order to guide us to get to being that eternal being. And sometimes they're not so great. Sometimes they're tragic. But in his viewpoints, we have created that because we have to create some kind of a barrier to give ourselves a lesson. But we can stop that by surrendering to Spirit and believing 100% that we can be guided in everything that we should be doing. And I know for a fact that for many years, for almost 30 years, I worked in the corporate world, and back in that time period, we created what was going to happen and we forced it to happen. In today's world, you really can't force a lot of things to happen, because when you do, the energy shifts dramatically. And we are changing, our energy is changing, and that's why it's important to understand energy and the energy that you hold within your body. Because if I try to force anything here in my business, but my heart's telling me something different, guess what? It won't work. Or it'll give me a result that's not the result that I could have had. And we also have to look at our experiences, because our guides do bring us experiences. We have to look at experiences that are helping us to learn more about who we are. And, you know, I have, when I sit back and look at a lot of things that are, say, going on in my life around me, there's a lot of things that are happening, and I'm approaching them differently than I've ever approached them in my life. And I realize that the way that I'm approaching them brings me peace, and I'm able to stay peaceful. You know, if I've got, you know, children that are in relationships that if they're having difficulty, or if we've got family health issues, but the point is I stay grounded in that and say, okay, I can help through my energy, not through my physical things that I'm doing. And I also have to set boundaries and recognize that setting boundaries of how much energy I give to something is healthy and will ultimately help others. So one of the things that, you know, again, you can journal. You can even paint. Spirit guides come when you're painting. These paintings right here on this wall, these are called process paintings. And the woman who did these, this is where she was just given a paintbrush and given colors and said, paint intuitively. Whatever comes up, draw a line, splash some paint on that. And you can see, sometimes for me, I've done this, you splash paint up and then you go, oh, that's starting to look like a flower. Maybe I'll make it look like a flower. But I didn't stand in front of the painting and say, I'm going to paint a flower. And then the more you paint, and I have them all positioned this way, but if you turn these upside down, you'll see things in them that you don't see right now. And that's what intuitive painting is. Intuitive painting, you actually are painting symbols and codes in your artwork that are giving you energy. And your guides will come through that. And so painting is a great way to connect with your guides. Any kind of art form, sculpture, dance, singing. How many singers that have said when they sing, they know they are spiritually connected? They know that they're bringing through their spirit guides. So there's a plethora of things that you can do to talk to your guides. The goal is you just have to talk to them every day. Because then they get used to you, and then they don't want to go away. And then you're like, okay, you're here with me all the time. You know? Like sometimes, I know a situation, it was very interesting. I was supposed to have a meeting with a client at a certain time one day, but I was in another meeting that just wasn't finishing. And in my mind, I'm going, oh my gosh, you know, I'm supposed to be, I've got to get in my car, but I can't leave this meeting because I was part of the meeting. I can't leave this meeting, and now I'm going to be late, and what am I going to say? And I stopped, and I said, Spirit, I need you to handle this for me, please. And I'm going to trust that you will. So the meeting kept going on that I was in, and I just let it go. I was like, okay, I need Spirit to handle this. You'll handle this. And when the meeting was done, I had turned my phone off. I picked up my phone, looked at it, and there was a message from the client that said, I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to cancel today. And I was like, wow, Spirit handled that for me.
Spirit is talking through you to me. The meeting with Disha is literally at 12 o'clock. I've been sitting here kind of saying, how am I going to get to this meeting from here to her home by 12 o'clock? And I don't want it to be a disruption or say, oh, I have to leave now. And literally what you're saying to me is like, it's fine. You're here. Stay grounded. It will be okay. Like, I'm so sorry. I just had to say
No,
that.
that's
Like,
great.
it's been on my mind. Like, okay, do I just leave now or?
Again, you just have to say, Spirit, handle this for me. And so you're late, and that goes back to my other presentation about commitments, is that we also want to be committed. However, we also have to recognize that spirit can work with us on things. It, you know, every now and then we're gonna be late. We're just, I mean, we're gonna break a commitment. And it's, you don't wanna do it all the time. So the reality is that there are many ways to talk to your spirit guides. First, you must believe there are spirit guides. 2, you want to create and establish a relationship with them. And then 3, you want to begin to create this continuous conversation with your guides and connection. And then trust them. Trust is the most important part. If you don't trust, then you're continually putting energy between you and your guides. It'd just be like me not trusting my employees to come in and be in the business. And I'd be going, oh my gosh, are they gonna be here on time? You know, the reality is I have to trust. And we must trust. And trust ourselves. That's the first and most important piece, is to trust ourselves. Any thoughts, any questions?
My legs are kind of shaking. I think the energy's moving through me and I feel like the blockages are hopefully starting to open up.
It is. It is. I know it's a rainy day. It'd be great to be out in the park today.
Yeah.
However, it's supposed to be beautiful tomorrow. So maybe when you go to work tomorrow, you can sit in a moment and be present with your guides and go, oh, I know you're here. So they're there. They're always
I
there.
feel 'em.
Yeah, they're always there. Any other thoughts? All right, well, I just want to leave you with my favorite short meditation. You are the light. And if you want to close your eyes, we'll end with that, and I'll start that meditation.